right. Hello. Hey, ladies. Hi, Olga. Hi, Vanessa.
Hi.
All righty. Let's see. We'll give everyone like another minute and then we will get started. Let me pull up my notes here.
Hi, Vanessa. Hey, Jen, I was right by you this weekend.
You were. You should have let me know.
I was in New York. Still not that close.
It's not that close, but kind of. It's like an hour
Closer,
and a half.
East Coast versus West Coast.
Yeah. How was it?
Cold. Too cold for me. But it was fun. 4 days, it was enough time.
Awesome. Yeah, it's starting to get nice out here actually now. The last couple of days have been like not as cold. So,
That's what
yeah.
they said. They're like, oh, well, no, it's like really nice weather. I'm like, no, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. We don't get 40 degrees. I'm sorry. No.
Did I see your emails? Let me see. I haven't actually been on my emails this morning. Let me check while we wait. Jenna. No, I got your previous ones about the bonus. I didn't get anything today. I don't know if you sent. Okay, yeah. I sent out the email today in reference to the bonus for those of you who got the bonus. Let me know if you received that. You should have gotten it today, Vanessa. All right. Let me see. All right. Yeah, let me know if you got that, Vanessa. Yeah. Okay, so are you still having problems getting onto the portal as well? There is no portal. I'm like, there is no portal. We're doing everything inside the Facebook group. For now. And then once we complete all the 6 weeks, then I'll put everything together for you guys so you have access in one spot. Because right now I have a couple different like course portals that I'm using, and I'm trying to decide which one I'm going to end up sticking with for this year and which one's the most user-friendly for you guys. So I'll make sure that right now everything is being the recordings, the worksheets, everything's being put in the Facebook group. And then, so everything's in there. And then, like I said, once our 6 weeks is complete, it's actually going to be longer, which I'm going to go over today. But once the 6 weeks is complete, then I will gather everything together and put it all in one spot for you guys. And let me see. All right. So I'm sure people will pop on. I am going to switch over to my screen. There we go. Okay. All right, Vanessa. Yeah. And let me know if you got the email from today, because I did send one out today. You should have gotten it in reference to the bonuses. Okay, share screen. Let's do this. Okay. All right, guys. So what I'm doing right now is we're at the midpoint of the program, and there's certain things that need to happen before we move on. So what I want to do for today's session is have it be more of like an open Q&A, kind of like our first call, and an opportunity for you guys to get clarity on the things that you're working on. So far, what you should have nailed down, and what I'm actually going to do as well is have like an actual checklist that you guys can have, and you can just check off. So similar to this, like, you know, you have your offer, you have the name, you have the price. I think you guys can see this. So I want to have that for you, so you know you have all of the pieces that you need to move forward. So right now you should have your actual offer, like what are you offering, the name of it, the price of it, the results that people are going to get. Your messaging should be, I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect, right? Like you should have a general, like pretty good idea of the messaging. That messaging is going to, you are going to perfect the messaging as you start to sell it, as you start to get feedback and things like that. But you should have your overall messaging, your offer promise, what it is, and who it's for. Let me just write that. Who it's for. Why you? And so essentially that's your positioning in the marketplace. Like, why am I going to choose you over somebody else when you're doing something very similar to other people? Your offer format, which is what we talked about last week, your program content. So even if you don't have, I don't expect you guys to have the content created right now. Some of you are using old stuff, so you might have the content created, but don't get hung up on like, oh my gosh, I have to create all the modules and I have to record all the videos and I got to do all these things. As long as you know what the content is going to be, and like, you know, your modules, the length of the program, all of that stuff. So this is all stuff right here, and I'll make sure that you guys get this checklist that you should have as of right now, if you have kept up with the calls and the homework and all of that stuff. And so the reason why I want to do this week as being like a Q&A and clarity is because either you don't have those things or you don't have clarity on those things. The upcoming weeks are going to be difficult for you. So I want to just make sure that you guys have all of these things in place and use the opportunity today. And then also, if you're not here today or you're watching the replay, you can also post in the Facebook group as well in terms of, hey, I'm struggling with this, or I need a little, you know, feedback on my promise, or I need a little feedback on my messaging. It's also really good to ask in the group as well, because I may not be necessarily your ideal client, but there might be somebody in the group who is. So, you know, don't be embarrassed or shy to just be like, hey, here's my offer, here's my messaging, here's what I got going on. And, you know, allow yourself to get feedback from other people as well. Because that'll also be really helpful. You know, I can obviously give my feedback as, you know, your mentor and your coach, but sometimes, like, you know, it might not necessarily resonate with me 100% because I'm not in that situation, but somebody else in the group might. So don't be afraid to put your stuff in the group, get the feedback. Get the feedback from me, bring the things to the calls. So that way everything's super clear, because after this week, we're going to actually move into the actual marketing, sales, and launch process. So you can see how, like, if you don't have clarity on like what your offer is or who it's for, it's going to make the other stuff really difficult. Whereas if you're crystal clear going into, you know, the content that we're going to be doing with marketing, sales, and launching, it's going to feel like so much more in flow for you to just know what to say, know who to say it to, know the language that you're going to use. You have your results dialed in, so you can really create content around those things. So again, this week is going to be Q&A clarity. It's kind of like our midpoint right now. And then the following weeks, week 5 is going to be how to open and fill your enrollment periods. So we talked a little bit about this in terms of some of you might, you know, be doing it quarterly. Some of you might be doing it, you know, monthly, every 6 months. Some of you are going to keep it open all the time, but we'll discuss all of that, how to actually open it, how to actually fill your enrollment periods, which is what I like to actually call them instead of launches. It's just a different lens that I kind of look at it like, when being, you know, just open for business. You can buy from me anytime. So we'll talk about that next week, and how to generate those 5 figures in recurring revenue every month without having like a million clients. And you already got some of this info, kind of like with the, not the pre-work, but the content that I was putting out in order to sell this program. I talked a lot about the numbers, and I talked a lot about how, you know, the pricing that we talked about, how you're doing your payment plans, like all of that stuff is what's going to create this like momentum, and stacking of your payment plans is what's going to ensure the consistent revenue months, consistent cash months. So that's what we'll be talking about next week. Week 6 will be how to market, launch, and sell your offers. I will be giving you literally like the exact emails. Like, Obviously, they're not going to be exact to what you're doing, but basically like a template that you can just plug and play with the exact emails that you're going to send out to fill your enrollment periods, the social media posts that you should be doing, how many you should be doing, when you should be sending them, how you should be posting them. All of that stuff is going to come in week 6. So again, having that clarity on your offer is going to make the next few weeks way easier. And then the final week, which will be our added week, I want to talk about now that you have your core signature offer. How do all of your other offers fit into that? So we'll be talking about basically what I'm calling your offer ecosystem, just because I'm tired of hearing offer suite and everybody keeps talking about offer suite, which essentially that's what it is. But really it's an ecosystem because it's going to keep people in your world, right? So they may come in at a lower offer. They might come in that mid tier and then they can either go up or down. So we'll be talking about that in the final week, like your upsells, your downsells, your cross sells, and how to really keep people into your whole, offer ecosystem so that they continue to work with you. The lifetime value of the customer is going to be, higher. You'll be able to help them more. And the thing I love too about, just working with people long term is that you learn a lot. You learn a lot from like how quickly people can progress through things. And especially because, a lot of you guys do more of like kind of like a mindset thing. So it's not that it's not tangible, but sometimes it takes longer to like see transformation, or like what you do, Cindy, right? Like it's like you get to kind of see like there's different types of parents, there's different types of people who, they might work through the content like really quickly. Other people might need more hand holding, they might need more feedback. So for me, with every round that I do of my program, my goal is to make it better. So I'm always like, give me the feedback. Like, don't be shy. Do I feel like this is taking too long? So for example, this one obviously is a beta as well. And, I was like, okay, 6 weeks, but honestly, it's going to end up being 8 weeks, right? Because we had like our kickoff week. We have this integration week here because I want to make sure that you guys are super clear before we move on. So now I know when I run it next time, it's probably going to be an 8-week course, if not a little bit longer. So, don't be afraid to like make those mistakes. Don't be afraid to test different things out. Also pay attention to how your clients are going through the content, how they're going through the program, what questions they're asking. If you notice a lot of people like are struggling with the same thing, or you notice a lot of people are, giving the same type of feedback, then that's going to be you like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to take this information. I'm going to make it even better. And this is one of the other reasons why I love the mid-ticket offer and having that signature offer, because you can't do that when you are literally creating a new course every month. There's no room for making it better. There's no room for mastery within that course because you're just jumping on to the next one, right? So let's see. Cindy says 100%. That's why after 4 years, I feel like it's time to review my offers and tweak. Yep. And I always like to, it's sometimes hard to get the feedback from your clients, but maybe that's like something that you put at the end of your offers is a feedback form, so kind of like your offboarding or how you close people out of the thing. Vanessa says, are you doing the 8 weeks with us? Well, yeah, you guys are having 8 weeks because you had the first week, which was like our kickoff week, and we have 6 weeks of modules, and then today's week, which is kind of like our buffer week. So it is a total of 8 weeks together. Falling in love with your launching for mastery. Yes. And I think that is a huge thing that's missing, so I think people will gravitate more towards that in the coming probably months, if not, this year, especially with a lot of this stuff. I don't know remember if we talked about this in this group or in one of the other groups, but the master resale rights, right? So a lot of people like, that's a huge thing. And it's like, that's great if the person knows what they're doing. But essentially what you're doing is you're getting someone who has no expertise, no experience, no nothing. You're teaching them how to sell something that they can't even help their clients with, So it's like, yeah, I can sell you this product, right? But if I have a question about that product, or I have a question about how do I actually do this, like you can't help me because you don't even have the experience. So I think people are really craving more of like who's the top. I know when I consider, my mentors and the people that I want to hire, I always like, whenever I'm looking for someone, I would say it's a little like it's if I'm looking for someone that's more of like an overall general like mentor or coach, obviously it's going to be somebody that I feel connected to, right? That I feel like, okay, they're relatable. But if I'm looking for something very specific, right? I'm looking for the best person. Like if I'm looking to like get on stages in 2024, I'm like, who is the best person to help me get on stages? Right. And so this is where with this mid-ticket offer, having that specificity actually is going to help you, even if you think it might shorten the amount of people or decrease the amount of people that you can help. When you niche down, then these people are going to be like, nope, that's exactly the person that I need to help me because this is my problem. So don't be afraid to like niche down, get very granular with like who it's for, what the results are, and all of that stuff. Because again, it's going to make your sales so much easier. It's going to make the marketing easier. It's going to make the content creation easier. Like you could probably sit down once you're fully clear on everything and just bang out the content in like a day or two, and then just have your VA post it or schedule it or do whatever you need to do. But the clarity is the first piece in knowing exactly what you're offering and why someone needs to buy that from you, especially at this price point, which, to be honest, I don't think that this is a very high price point, but other people might. For me, like if I'm looking at like high ticket, I probably think, oh, high ticket for me is like, I don't know, 25K plus would be high ticket. So other people might think 5K is high ticket. So you also really have to understand like your audience and what they're looking for and what they want to invest in and all of that stuff. Okay, Cindy, she must have gotten logged out by mistake. She says, I think the coach mentor and their story experience will become more important with so many identical things that are out there. Yeah. And now there's like a whole thing on like, faceless reels and faceless Instagrams. And it's like people will always want that connection, even if these like new things keep popping up. Like they're going to pop up and they're going to go away. They're going to pop up and it's like, I guess the difference between like a fad and a trend, like I would say a fad is like something that's like not going to be very long lived. A trend I feel like is something like you want to pay attention to because you want to see like where the market is going, right? You want to see what people are responding to, what people are buying. But also just depending on your own style, you might be like, I'm the rebel, which is like me. And once I see everybody doing the same thing, I'm like, I'm staying far away from that thing that everybody else is doing, right? Now that has gotten me in trouble, I feel like in my business, because it's like, even if there's something that is working, if everybody else is doing it, I'm like, no. But yeah, I think there's definitely a difference between, a fad and then paying attention to trends and what's working. But that mastery piece will always be there because people aren't going to want to hire somebody that they don't feel like they can help them. Right. And that's why a lot of the work that we've done so far in this program is to like a lot of it or some of it was repetitive because I want you to be like knowing this thing like the back of your hand, like it's like I can ask you anything. Right. And you're going to be able to bam, answer the question. If you're putting out content or you're, marketing, knowing exactly like, oh, okay, well, what do I get in your program or how does it work? Or, what's the price? Even getting to that point in your pricing, even though this is a new price point for a lot of you, getting to that point where you're like, oh yeah, and it's only 5K, and really feeling confident in your pricing because people feel the energy. Like I had a client one time and she was telling me the story about how she went to this event and it was an event to promote something, right? So it was a coach who was hosting a live event. And then at the end of the event, she was going to pitch her thing. And she's like, I fully went into the event believing I was going to buy something from this person. Like, so she went in, she already like really liked the person. She's like, I was literally like credit card in hand, ready to buy. And she said, but when this person did the pitch, she's like, something was off. She's like, I could just feel that something was off. I don't know if she didn't feel comfortable with the pricing or she didn't feel comfortable with something. So she's like, something just felt off when she pitched me and I didn't buy. So that even having that confidence in like your pricing. So this is why if the pricing is too high for you, I would suggest do incremental increases. So it's like, okay, maybe the first 3 people are going to be at 2K. right? And then the next 3 people will be at 25, and then the next 3 people will be at 3K. So you can kind of work your way up. That's what I did with my one-on-one coaching. And then as you're doing that, you're also getting feedback. As you're doing that, you're getting client results. So like you're going to feel more confident to be able to raise your price. So that's what I would suggest if you're just like, oh my gosh, you can't jump right into the 3,500 or jump right into the 5K. Like, let's work it up. But I want it definitely over 1K. Definitely over 1K. I would say probably over 2K. So whatever you feel comfortable with, because if you don't feel comfortable with it, you're not going to be able to sell it anyway. So whatever feels good for you, and then just put that incremental like ladder in place for yourself. So that way you will feel more confident to charge until you get to that place where you're like, okay, this is where it's supposed to be. I did that. The $3,500 price point when I first started doing it was a little bit scary for a group program. I had charged that for one-on-one, but to charge it in, basically a less than 3-month group program, it was, ooh, this is kind of scary. But then I got the evidence, like, oh, people actually want to buy this thing because the outcome was so clear. And because of all the things that I did, it made it an easy yes. When I moved, because I believe it was 3,500, then I moved to like 4,500 to 5,000. It was a little harder to sell at 5,000. Not that it wasn't worth it, but it was a little bit more difficult. So it was like I had to kind of open up for potentially doing a sales call with somebody, or having to have DM conversations with people, because that is a higher price point. I mean, that's $5,000, right? So depending on who your people are as well, like you may have to just feel into like what is the right price point for them and for me. Also, we want to keep in mind that this is your signature program. So this is the thing that you want to essentially be your money maker. You want this thing to pay your bills. So I always say, like, you can have other things, and we're going to be talking about that in the final week, having your other offers and having different things that people can buy from you. But I highly suggest whatever your signature program is, like, make that be your like bread and butter. Okay. So let's say your bare minimum expenses for the whole month are like 10K, 5K, whatever it is. Like, okay, cool. I'm going to make it so that this program, my signature program, brings in 5K every month, brings in 10K every month, because that's what that's going to do. It's going to stabilize your income. It's going to make you feel like, okay, and I know that I can maintain this, and then you can sell the other stuff. And when you sell the other stuff, that's gravy, right? Like that's just the cherry on top. That's extra. Also, because you're stabilized in your income, when you go to sell other things, it's going to be easier because you're not going to have that attachment of like, I have to make X amount of sales, or I have to have this much money come in from this. So this is why this is like your baseline. Let's figure out numbers wise, for the majority of you, you may only need to have 5 people enrolled in your program in order to hit your goals, depending on what your payment plans are and things like that. So that's what I always suggest to my clients is whatever your signature program is, that should cover your baseline expenses, personal and business. So that way you can stabilize the income, and then you can start focusing on, okay, what else am I going to sell, or what other offers am I going to have? But at least you're good. You've got that cash flow, it's coming in, you have that mastered, and you know that no matter what happens, you want to take time off, your kid gets sick, like something happens, you're good. Like you're good either way. All right, guys. So like I said, what I want to do today is Q&A, open Q&A, feedback, anything that you need support in terms of your offer, your messaging, anything that we've worked on so far. So that way, when we go into marketing, sales, launching, and all of that other good stuff next week, you feel clear moving forward in that. Who wants to go first? Cindy? She's like, sure.
I've fallen behind in my homework, but like my brain doesn't do linear. And because I'm like, it's revamping or trying to, I'm like foundational, filling in the holes, kind of like my house is falling down a cliff kind of feeling. That's what my business feels like. Only because like I didn't stabilize the ground, I was in a hurry to build my mansion, and so it's kind of like everything you say is kind of like, oh, that works for that bit. So I feel like I've been scattered a little bit, but it's been really helpful to figure out, like, I don't know if you saw in in the group, but I posted kind of that, like they call it a wisdom model. So it's basically my blah, this is what I can do. And I'm like, that's pretty cool, because now I can see where my ecosystem is like, and how things can sort of play together, and where I can borrow things. And so I had a big problem with the signature offer is that although emotional regulation is literally, because I come at parenting from mental health perspective, because I am a psychologist and that's kind of where I am. And tell me if my internet's sketchy, so I have no idea.
No, you're good right now. I just wanted to pull up this thing that you're talking about.
Okay, because I had to kick the kids off the TV because they're streaming, and I was like, oh no, sorry boys, but you're messing with my internet. So it's like, it's like my verbal diarrhea, but like in a sort of like in a nice wee framework.
But that's good, because that's all content pieces.
Well, that was quite cool though. I was like, I know what to say now without actually having to think about it. And I was really stuck with, I thought I was going to mash something up. And then I was like, you know what? No, I can, there's a big foundational about like, if your environment is not meeting your needs, etc., your emotions are going to be all over the place, right? Like even as an adult. So there's like a stabilizing piece that not everybody knows about, which is kind of where my signature program technically should be. Like teaching that's kind of feels like that, but I don't want to do that. So I've been wrestling. I was like, but I don't want that to be that. I want emotional regulation is my big thing. And I thought, you know what? I've got a foundations course that I'm finishing up. I can just throw that in as a bonus for people who don't know.
I was just going to say, what if you did it either? So I was going to say, what if you did it as a bonus or a workshop to sell people into? You know,
well, that's it.
Like the baseline, the step 1 or the step 0.
Yes, that's technically the point. It's like my foundations course. That's why I've created, because I had a big gap. Like if you're brand new, like the poos hit the fan, and I don't know what I'm doing with my kid, but I know everything I'm doing is wrong, and like, but they're not ready. They don't know. You're not going to invest loads of money on something that you're scared isn't going to work, are you? Well, parents generally don't, because they've been burned before, etc. But if this is kind of like a lower price, 4 weeks, I mean, it's no brainer, right? Like, what are you going to lose? So that can be my foundations, and then I can just put that and then focus. You know what? What am I passionate about? It's about emotions and mental health, and I don't believe other people teach it in a very good, helpful way. So why am I going for like behavior and all that boring stuff? They can go find somebody else. Well, it's not boring, but they can find somebody else to do it, right? What is there like a missing? So I'm like, right, I'm going to nail down on that. So I have to go back and everything. My promise is super, super like wishy-washy, blah. But I'll review and then post it in the Facebook group.
Okay.
Because like I can't, unless you can ask me direct questions to get the spaghetti out of my brain, Jenna, I'm not going to verbalize anything. It's stupid. Like unlock the ability to teach your child how to manage their big feelings so that, they can be, it's so like coachy. Yeah, it doesn't feel like good, does it? Like, who's going to want to buy that? Like say, here's my credit card for a big sum of money, So I'll work on that and then come back. But that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. And
clearer.
It is clearer, right? And it's like I said, the more you do it and the more you figure out. I love your perspective of have somebody else teach you that. Like I've been on that train for a while, and I'm just like, anybody can teach people this or that or this. Like I'm tired of teaching that. I want to teach this. Like you can go to anybody else to learn Instagram or whatever it is, So I like actually having that perspective, because then it keeps you dialed in on like the thing you actually want to work on with people and who you want to work with. So that keeps it more dialed in versus like having randoms,
Yeah, exactly.
Or feeling like you're teaching.
It's more like people who care about the children's mental health rather than my child's behaving so badly. Please help me. So I was like, I think that's actually, that's a totally different type of person, isn't it? Someone who's seeing mental health worries and someone's seeing bad behavior, you do the same thing, but the
And there's
mindset
solutions, yes, because the solution to mental health, like you automatically know, like, okay, this is going to take time, right? Like it's going to be a progression. It's going to be like a real solution. Whereas someone who is just like, how do I get my kid to stop doing this? Like they're looking for a quick fix. They're looking for like, where's that answer? And I need it now, you know? So it's like, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just like, you know, people that hire like a business coach. There's some that are like, okay, I just want to like get to my next level. And there's other people that are like, I need you to be my savior. And if this doesn't work, then you know, it's all downhill, you know? So it's like, it's a completely different energy, and you want to be in the energy of the people who are seeking that solution, but also understand the value of having that mentorship and having that guidance outside of like the traditional things that they're used to.
Yeah, so it's been a lot of like deep thinking, but like my subconscious did everything. So I didn't actually have to actively work on all of this. But so it's kind of like all the spaghetti is slowly, but I'm like, right now I need to actually focus and do the stuff that's less fun. Putting it down on paper. Don't like
well,
that.
Yeah, and I was gonna suggest like just doing
Jenna, so it'll be all right. But my promise, I never feel confident with that. But I need to like brainstorm and play and then give you ideas, and then you can feedback, because I literally can't blurb anything today. It's impossible.
Yeah, I was gonna say just like write everything down, and then you'll be able to go through and be like, oh, okay, I already have something for this. I already have content for this. I already have that, you know. And then you can, like you said, like fill in the blanks and see what's there. But the promise is going to be like, once you nail it, like
I know that's it. It's that kind of like, oh, everyone says that, you know, and I'm like, I just don't. I don't feel it. Like it's not exciting. It's not unique.
It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be. I would say take your mind off of that. It has to be extravagant or exciting. Like I know for in my like experience, the things for me that changed like a lot with my business, or the most like I say like the most profound things that I have gotten from my mentors was like so easy. Like it was just like, duh, I should have known that. You know, it was kind of like that moment of like, that makes a lot of sense. And it's nothing extravagant. It's nothing big, but it's just like brings you down to earth. Like, oh, it's clear, right? It's clear and it makes sense versus it's cute and fun and exciting, especially in the world that you're in.
Think more along specific outcomes that they'll walk away from. So go through that little bit, right? Gotcha. Cool. I'll let other people hop on, but that's my
because then you'll just have, and then remember we were talking about the angles before, so you might have a couple different ways that you talk about it.
Are you going to talk more about the angles?
Yes, we'll talk about that when we get into the marketing.
In the marketing stuff. Good, because that's the most exciting part.
Because then it's like, okay, well, because somebody might resonate with the bad behavior piece. Somebody might resonate with, you know, the mental health piece. Somebody might resonate with whatever is that other piece that you're going to have. And then you can speak about them all. And then as you're putting the stuff out, like you'll see, okay, people really kind of gravitate towards when I talk about it in this way. You know, you're still bringing them to the same place. You're still bringing them to the same offer, but it's like, how do you talk about it to get them to even see the value of, let me check this thing out.
Yeah, because my other offers, it's like everything sort of, it's an ecosystem within its own stuff. Everything sort of feeds in together, and I can see where I've got gaps, but do I have gaps, or can I just go hunt other people and say, yo, do you want to do like a collab, or can you like donate this and I'll donate that? So
you can do that. You can do that if you want to stay in your own lane.
Yeah, well, that's it. Because it's the skill-based bit. So it's just the way I believe. You got to stabilize the environment, meet the needs, get to know who your kid actually is, not who you want it to be. And then you can teach them, because once they're feeling a bit more calm and you've got that connection, then without being too wishy-washy, but you know, you got to know, and they need to trust and love you. Like that you trust and love them. You know, it's a two-way street. Then you can teach them how to like balance their emotions and all that stuff. And then when they're balanced, they can learn to do all the hard stuff, you know, like tidy their room, etc. That's the way my brain works. And my level of kids, you need to remember mine are the extreme, right? So they're the ones that like you see in the supermarket and you think, for God's sake, you know, just take control of your child. Well, the mom is trying, they can't. The child does control everything, but they've got stuff. So there's all these angles, and I do have other things that helps very specific, but they're very specific ways, entry points, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, because
but now they've got something concrete to say, if you like this, these are the missing points, and then, take your pick.
Yeah, because a lot of that stuff you can use in your marketing, you can use in your funnels, you can use it as free, freebie, like, hey, come in, get this quick result, right? Or learn about this one thing, and then, oh, I want more of that, right? So you can use those as teasers into
pull things apart from my existing content. I guess that's where I'm at. It's repurposing. I've created so much. It's time to stop and just use it. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
I hear you on that. But yeah, whatever you have, whatever angles you have, you can just pop them in a group and see. But yeah, it's gonna be that thing that they want. Like, that's what you have to remember. So it's like, how do I talk about the promise in the way of like, they need this, but really they're buying what they want. So what is the solution that they want that they're going to buy? That's the easiest way to like ask yourself that question. Right. And a lot of people don't even care about the how, they're just like, I don't even care how I have to do it. Like, and I see a lot of people make that mistake as well overall. Like, a lot of people will talk about like, oh, I'm going to help you do whatever with EFT and tapping and this. And it's like, but do I really care? No, I'm really buying the outcome, whatever that outcome is, right? Like release money blocks or whatever. I'm not buying tapping, right? Like, I'm buying the outcome of whatever the modality is, but I'm not buying the modality. So we have to remember that as well. It's like, because what are people buying? They're not buying the vehicle, right? They're buying the destination essentially. How do I get there? Right. And this is why I also suggest that the mid-tier signature program has a shorter, so it's not 6 months, it's not 12 months, because we want to get them to a result pretty quickly. And if we get them to a result pretty quickly, even if it's like a smaller result, then they can move on to the next thing, and then move on to the next thing, or down, or, hire you for one-on-one, or like do the next thing. So I like to keep it shorter, I should say. All right, cool. Well, I'm excited to see what you come up with. Let's go. Vanessa, can you come on? I saw the baby's head. If not, we can go to Olga. Let's see. I see Olga's forehead. She said, there we go.
My phone fell down, so I was like, whatever, just stay down there. Okay.
All right. So what's
are we
going on?
waiting for Vanessa? Oh, no. Okay.
I think she had the baby. She might be feeding the baby. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm kind of stuck on kind of the same thing. I feel like there is what I want to say, where I want to take him through is too vanilla, like what everybody says. I'm having a hard time saying I'm going to take you from being frustrated to being confident to charging what you're worth, to be able to, change that mindset of charging the right prices. So for me, it's like, how do I get these words to sound a little different than everybody else is saying that?
So it's like the main thing that you're going to help them raise their prices.
Okay. And how do I say, okay?
No, is that the main thing now? Is that the promise?
Yeah, I mean, that was what I was guiding towards, yeah.
So what I was saying to Cindy too, it's like, okay, well, I don't really care if you're going to teach me how to do it through mindset, right? So like, you really don't need to say that, right? Because what they're going to get is the ultimate end result, which is you're able to charge more for your services. Right. So you could even put a number on it. So similar to like how when I promoted this, it was like, I'm going to show you how to 3X what you're currently charging, right? Or make X amount of dollars more. So that's probably how I would come at it from your angle, is instead of like, oh, you're going to, get more confidence. I'm going to help you shift your mindset. I'm going to, like, nobody cares about that, right? Like, I don't care about that. I want to know, how do I get to a point where I can, and maybe it's even this, get to a point where I can make more money with less clients? Because if I raise my rates, then that means I can make just as much money and I don't have to work my ass off, right? Because especially in the beauty industry, they're probably thinking, oh, in order to 10x my income, I probably also have to 10x my output. I probably also have to work 10 more hours a day, or, you know, however many more a week. So I would say something like that. So I would be like, okay, well, the end result is you're going to be able to confidently charge more for your services and be able to make twice as much money as you're making with less clients, something like that. You can obviously play around with the numbers, but that to me feels more concrete than like, oh, I'm going to help you go from frustrated to confident to I'm going to help you shift your mindset. Like, yeah, people will be like, where's the money? Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Where's the money?
And see that's actually where I was. I was in a place where I was making a lot of money. I was seeing 10, 11 clients a day, $800-900 a day, and you know, doing the eyelash extensions, but I was burned out. Like working 6 days a week like that, it was like completely burned out. Now I make, you know, a good amount of money without having to stress. I'm able to make my own schedule, you know, like everything that I used to think you had to put hard work into it. It's just working smarter.
Yeah, and that's probably the mentality of a lot of the beauty professionals as well.
Yeah.
So you could even have that. Okay, so I'm going to help you confidently raise your rates, or raise your prices of your services, or raise your rates, however you would word that. And then what was the other part? The other part was working with less clients, or it could be without burning out in the process, right? Or without filling up your books, or like whatever the lingo is that you guys use. But I would say that. So it's always like, I'm going to help you get to this thing without the thing that you don't like. So I believe it was in last week's homework. There is that little like offer promise thing. It was like the fill in the blank ad lib thing.
That's what I was going through, and I was getting stuck there because I'm like, I'm sounding like everybody else. I don't want to sound like everybody else.
It's fine. I feel like it's fine if you have like the baseline, and then you can go and change it. Like, oh, what is another way I can say this? What's another way I can say this? What's another way I can say this? So I'll give you an example. So I'm doing I think I was telling you guys on the other call, I'm doing the like the audio. Basically, it's like an audio membership, right? So instead of just saying like, oh, you're gonna get audios to like build your business, right? I called it an audio transmission. So it's like, yes, it's an audio, but now it's like, ooh, what's that? What's a transmission? Like, I want that, right? Or an activation or something. So it's like, even if you come up with something that's very basic, you can always spice it up, you know, at least get down that thing like, oh, what's another way for me to say this? Or what's a more, you know, spicier way to say this? Or ask ChatGPT, like, make this more bougie, like,
yeah.
But yeah, I've had that. I mean, you could probably do that. Yeah. What's a way I can talk about how to raise your rates as a beauty professional and make it sound like bougie, or make it sound spicy, or make it sound whatever, you know, something like that. But yeah, if you have the baseline, I think that's fine. Then because you can always edit it, you know, you can make it sound way better. So even with this course, I've been thinking about like, what do I want to do with this one? Because I'm like, mid-ticket mastery. Like, I feel like if you understand low, mid, high ticket, then it makes sense. But if you don't, then you're like, well, what's mid-ticket? I don't know what that is. That could be $800 to somebody and $8,000 to another person. So now I'm like, okay, I got the basis, but like, how can I make it better? You know? And that's the whole thing with everything that we're doing is like, how do I make it better? How do I improve it? But I like leaning on the raising the rates thing without doing more work. Yeah. Because, you know, they're automatically going to feel like, well, how can I 10x my income without working with more clients or putting myself into the ground even more, or, you know, all of this stuff. And yeah, well, you got one girl over here that's charging, I don't know, $300 for a full color, and another girl's charging $800, and she's getting it, right?
Oh.
So, how do you get to that level? So I think it's also about like breaking through what the barriers already are for those people, right? Because you've been in it, and you've been working with those professionals for a long time. So it's automatically like, just think how they would think. If I told you this, what's the automatic thought you're going to think? Shit, I got to work harder. I got to get more clients. I got to do whatever, right? So then now you can have that objection when we get into the marketing and stuff next week. Like, nope, it's going to be without doing all of that stuff. So I really like that. I came across something recently. I feel like you could do something similar, and it was around, I think it was like money traumas. So it was like, there's 16 money traumas, which I felt like that was kind of a lot. But they were basically saying like there's 16 money traumas. And if you have one of these or in combination of these, this is why you're not making more money in your business. So you could do something similar, Olga, which is like the top, 10 money blocks of beauty professionals. That could be your free thing, your free workshop, because I think that there is a little bit of education that needs to happen with your audience if they're not used to having a coach, right? If they're not used to doing the personal development work, if they're not used to, that type of inner work to bring in the mindset, because it's always been a hustle, right? So it's like, how do I get it to like from hustle to like, oh, you can actually just shift how you see things and how you show up and make more money or have a better career, have it feel easier and avoid burnout, like all of those things. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. The money trauma thing.
And the money blocks, would I do like an ebook or?
I would do it as a workshop. Yeah, like a masterclass, like, have your slides, have your 10 things that you're going to talk about. And then because within that, you're just giving people the surface level. You're not going to be able to go deep, right, within those 10 things, right? So let's say it's like, what were some of the things that you were talking about before? Like one example of like a main block that a beauty professional would have.
It's a competition. I can't charge more because the person next over here is charging $50.
So like basing their prices on what somebody else is charging.
Yeah.
So that's a huge one.
That's a very common one.
So yeah, the way you have like your 10 things, you have that on a slide, and then you get to actually talk about it. And what's cool about that is when people hear you, they're gonna, number one, feel really like you're gonna resonate with them because you're gonna be in their head. Like they're gonna oh my gosh, this person understands me and she was able to do X, Y, and Z, from this place. So I like that idea for a workshop for you, because then you can actually talk about like, hey, this is what I commonly see. You don't want to raise your prices because the person next to you is charging X amount of dollars. So you think if you charge double that people are going to hire her instead, but really that's not true, right? Because I'm going to hire the person. I probably am going to hire the most expensive person because I want the best service, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, and I would just think of the 10 main ones, and then what you can do is then pitch your signature program of like, this is what we're going to do, and this is what I have for you. I have this program that's going to help you confidently charge or raise your rates without burning out and without working, piling on more clients. Very direct, very clear.
Okay. I like that.
Cool.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Let's see. Can Vanessa chat yet? She did have the baby.
Can you hear me?
Hello? Vanessa?
Yes.
I can barely hear you. Okay, hold on.
All
right.
Yeah,
Can
I'm
you
far
talk
away
now?
from the computer now.
Okay, cool.
I don't know why I log in on my phone first. That's why you see too.
Oh, okay.
But I couldn't. I closed everything, it's so weird that this didn't close, so I can still hear you from my phone, but I'm connecting the computer so I can see better.
Oh, I see both of them.
Okay. Yeah, so now I'm just talking on the computer. I can find it on my phone to do it. So anyway, my baby's here sleeping. No, it's sleeping, eating at the same time. So position I can be on camera right now again. Oh, okay.
There we go.
So weird. Got disconnected myself. Did you disconnect it?
Yeah. No, you're good now.
Great.
I can hear you much better.
I can.
Yeah.
Okay, let me. Okay, now I can hear you on the computer. It's better.
Yeah, it's much better now.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see if I can be on camera. No, looks like he wants to keep eating. So anyway, I guess I was trying to go through the homework, and because I already have my current offer and I'm just like trying to relaunch it, I feel like, should I change something? Like, should I go over every step on the homework and see, maybe come up with something else? But I'm like maybe stuck on the messaging. And then I posted a poll on the Facebook group just for the subtitle, something I was working on last week, and I just didn't. I forgot to post in the group. I remember this morning, I'm like, oh, I haven't done that yet. Just for feedback. But and then you talk about now, like week 7, you're gonna do the like upselling, downselling. I was thinking about that too, like,
Yeah.
because I have so many ideas, and I have my mini course already, which I launched twice. So I was like, should I launch it again and offer maybe a one-on-one with that? Because I already did it. Like, I feel like more confident to do that, run that one again, but it's not gonna be mid-ticker. It's gonna be maybe.
Well, what I would do is, since you already have the program, I would approach it as a revamp. So I would still go through all of the content, but go through it like, okay, you already have the program. And then you're just like, as you're going through the content and the questions that I'm asking, it's just going to help you get more clarity. Right. So if you have something and you're just like, oh, I don't really know what that is, then you can look at your current offer and say, okay, how can I improve that? Or maybe I need to add something, or maybe I need to take something away. So you can look at it from a revamp. If you already have the course and you're ready to launch it, I would just go, like I said, go through the content, because it's just going to help you get the clarity on what the offer is going to be, how to market it, all of that stuff, and just do it as a revamp. And I think we came up with a name already in one of the other programs.
I had a name already.
Yeah.
You just told me it's like, don't change it.
Yeah,
I was thinking to change it, but
it's very direct. And that's what I was saying just now to Olga, right? Like, the more direct it is, the better, because then you don't have to try to like educate people. Your audience and what you do for those people, it's like, it's a necessity, honestly. Most people are just skipping over it because they think other things are more important. You know, they think like, oh, a photo shoot is more important, or I got to get my branding, or I got to figure out my Instagram. And it's just like, the financial piece is really what's missing so much, you know, with in this industry. The other thing you can do, Vanessa, too, is think about who can you partner with. So maybe other business coaches that don't teach finances, but that they have that market, right? So their clients are entrepreneurs, business owners that need your services. So that could be something that you can think about as well. It's like, who can you do a collaboration with to get in front of their audience? And then you're just pitching what you already have to their audience. Okay. Instead of trying to like build from scratch, you know, with the social media and everything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking of something like that because I've been joining different groups. I'm just not like, you know, I'm not that active in any group.
Yeah, but, you know, and I would say own it. Like, I know you're just coming back from like having the baby and everything, but like I mean, obviously there are people that do something similar, but like, let's just even say a ratio of how many life coaches there are to how many financial coaches there are, or how many business coaches there are in reference to how many financial coaches there are. Like, it's something that is so needed in our industry, right? So it's just like, just putting it out there as if you have the information that people need, because you do.
Yeah, and I haven't seen anything what I created. And when I did them, I did like 10 to 12 calls on market research, and then that's how I developed my signature program. And I haven't seen anything like I created out there.
Yeah.
So there is like, they have different things in there, but it's not the same, because I have like, my accounting and keeping taxes background, which is I'm incorporating in my program. So it's a little bit different than just finances, like,
Yeah, it's the whole thing. It's like what everybody needs. So that's why I said, like, just own it, because it's not like you're presenting something that's like, oh, that would be a nice to have. But it's like, no, this is actually a necessity. Like, if you're going to be, a valid business owner, if you're looking to scale your business, if you're looking to make more money, like, you need this first, right? And a lot of people are skipping over that. And you can even talk about that in your content. So when we get into content for next week, you can think about like being a little bit not controversial, but like maybe more like in your face in terms of like, you need this, right? Same thing with like Cindy with the parents, right? Like, there's certain people that like, oh, I might want to do that. No, it's not and I might want to. It's I need to, right? Like, this is what's necessary. So a little bit of education on your part, Vanessa, as well, just because why are people skipping over this foundational thing that they need in their business?
Yes, and that's what I'm thinking. I need to work on the messaging, because like I haven't been on social media so much either. Like posting, I just posted a picture of my baby when he turned 1 month old, and he's 21. Just turned 21 yesterday. So I just shared that yesterday. I'm like, after over a year, I'm just sharing that picture. So it's like, okay,
leverage it. I always tell my clients, leverage the pictures of the baby, because everyone wants pictures of the baby.
I have so many I can share, and I don't know how I'm gonna maybe like put it together. Like, I don't know. We'll see how I go do it. But I'm thinking either mix them or in the same picture, maybe talk about my business or things like that. We'll see. I don't know yet, but
yeah. Well, and like I said, the way really around that, like, if you don't want to like just rely solely on the social media, is to do the other piece, which is to collaborate. Because there's a lot of people that have your audience. They already have the audience built. You just got to get in front of them. So you collaborating with that person, being like a guest expert in somebody's mastermind or somebody's Facebook group or things like that, to where like you're being positioned as the expert in this thing. And basically that will grow your audience. So it's not like you're just posting on social media and not getting, anything from people.
yes, that's right. He's hallucinating.
So yeah, and then I would also write, so this was in some of the homework, but also write in like, okay, there are other financial professionals or other people teaching similar things. Here's why mine is different, right? So you said like nobody's doing it how you're doing it. So those are also staples that you want to be like, yep, this is this is why me will be the next person, right?
Sorry. May distracted if I'm on camera. Say hola. Say hi.
Hair. He's so cute.
Wants to be here.
He's like, nope, I'm on a mission. But yeah, so as you go through the content that I've given you, just do it with your current program in mind, and then just make it better. How can I make this better? How can I make this more clear? And then so that way you don't have to worry about like creating something whole, brand new. You just have to create the marketing for it.
Yeah. Okay. And I was thinking, because I know my niche, like I want to help female entrepreneurs, especially coaches, consultants, and course creators. But now I'm thinking, because my idea was like between like they just getting started in the business between 1 to 2 years, because they might need I know they need a help from the beginning, but they don't know that yet, and they just start their business. For example, they don't open they don't have the business set up right at the beginning, the accounting systems and everything like that. So that's how I kind of show them in my signature program. But I'm like, I feel like if I reach out to those people, they don't have the money to get started, and I'm like, the price, like, how much should I charge for that?
Well,
Because
I
they
would
don't
say
have
this.
the money, or they feel they have money to start the business because they don't even have clients yet.
I honestly, I wouldn't have that be my ideal client. I would have my ideal client be somebody who's already making money in their business and they just don't have their shit together, like at all. And they're probably like at a point where they're scaling and they're making a lot more money. And now's the time where they have to get their shit together. Now's the time where they're like, I need to figure this out and I need to make sure I'm legit. I need to make sure that I'm valid. I need to make sure that I have these certain things in place. I need to make sure I got my tax account, So it's like, those people in the beginning of stages, they're not thinking about that. They're thinking about, how do I get a client? They're thinking about,
that's what I was thinking.
Right? So I would say your target really is somebody who's already in business. I wouldn't even go like 1 to 3 years, 3 to 6 years. Who cares about that? I would say you're making over 10K a month. Right? Something like that, or you're scaling. Now you're making 20K a month or 30K a month, because that's really where that's where things are really going to change, right? If I'm just bringing in a couple $1,000s a month, okay, whatever. But if now I'm like, oh shit, now I have $10,000 coming in a month. I have $20,000 coming in for the month. IRS is going to be on my butt, right? So that's really that point where they have the money to invest and they know, fundamentally that they need to get this work done. And they need to make sure that they're legitimate business owners. So
but what about, like, I feel like the need, like, I want to help them get started from the beginning. So
you can with your free content. I would say you can with your free content, or when we get into week 7, when we talk about like the smaller offers, you could have like a foundational offer that's like a done do it yourself. Like, hey, here's a checklist, or here's like, a 30-day challenge or something to make sure your business set up correctly. And it could be a low cost thing. And then your bigger ticket is for those people who have the money, who actually need to know what to do with their finances. And, they just haven't done it.
Okay. Yeah, I like that idea, because I feel like maybe even that if I do that, then when I start my signature program, people that haven't seen my other offers, maybe I can put that as a bonus, give it to them.
You could do it as a bonus. You could do it as a downsell. Like, there's multiple things you can do with it. So you can still help those people. So remember, I think it was last week, we talked about like access. Right? So what people are paying for is access to you, right? So for the low cost offers, it can be DIY. You just download this thing, maybe get an email every week, or you get like something every week, an activity that you have to do, and they can do that on their own. And it's something that they can easily invest in. And then if they want more hand holding, they want more support, they want, specific guidance on their situation, that's when they jump into the mid ticket. And for you, it might be, a $2,500 start point. And then you move up from there.
Okay. Yeah, and I have my freebies. Like, one is for taxes, the other one is a checklist for exactly what I'm teaching in.
Perfect.
What I'm teaching in my signature program. So it's like the checklist. They can just go through it and they can do it themselves, kind of thing. I can show you that.
I really like that. I love any type of like checklist assessment, because then what people are doing is they're self-assessing versus you being like, hey, you're doing everything wrong. You can they self-assess and they'll look and be like, oh yeah, I don't have any of that. I remember years and years ago, it was probably like 10 years ago now. It was like when I first started making money in my business, and one of my friends hooked me up with a financial advisor. And she had this whole checklist of like, oh, what are your assets, your home? And I was like, I don't even have anything, but like, she didn't have to tell me that. Like, by going through the assessment and having to do I need a financial advisor? I like anything like that, like a evaluation, assessment, checklist, something to get them to like get in their heads like, oh, I am missing something, right? Or I really do need this in my business. And just makes it easier.
Okay. Yeah, and I have somebody that she's she's a coach, and she just had her own podcast, and she invited to her podcast, and then I share my freebie with her, and then when she opened, she's like, she downloaded, and she's like, oh, I need your help. This is so good. She's like, I need your help. And then now she's on my email list, and I'm just sending, free content on my email. But I kind of offer my mini course, which is about saving. So it's kind of not related to my signature program. But I don't know, and that's a lot less than my signature program, But I don't have like I would say a funnel for my mini course. So whoever got my checklist for my signature program, I was also sharing about my mini course. So I don't know if that was mixed, the same with my free my freebie for taxes. So whoever is there, I'm just sharing about my mini course, my signature program. So I don't know what I'm doing on my emails. It's like I'm just giving information about how they can work.
You would want to have like your freebie go to your offer. Like you want it to make sense with that. Unless it's just like you said, like, oh, you'll get this tax, thing workbook, or you'll get this savings planner or whatever you have. But you want to, if you have that checklist, then you already have that piece in place to be able to start selling your signature program, which is cool.
Yes. Yeah, I just need to put out there more, I guess, some content of groups. I haven't done much of that. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that next week. So we'll be doing all, your copywriting, your content, your marketing, sales, all of that. Well, the next 2 weeks. We'll be doing all that stuff.
The same for the messaging, like how.
Yeah, whatever your messages, put that in the Facebook group, and then I can give you feedback on that, whatever you've decided for the messaging of your program. So that'll be clear. I mean, I feel like your stuff is pretty straightforward, like I don't think there's anything like, oh, I got to figure this out. But yeah, put it in the group. And then we can give you feedback on that.
Just what you just told me about. She's feeding my puppy now. I love shaking. So I guess what you just told me about, like who to market to instead of like people who just start in the business or people who are making more than I feel that I don't know 100K or 10 per month.
Yeah, well, like I mean, I'm not an accountant, so I don't know, but I know that when I moved from making like past 30K a month, we switched to filing as an S corp. So like I wouldn't have known that, you know what I mean? So it's like those people, that's probably the perfect place to like where those people are just starting to make a lot of money, and it's like, oh, I need to make sure that this is correct. I have to make sure that this is legit because the people in the beginning aren't like, oh, let me, get my finances in order and do that. Nope. They're like, how do I get a client? How do I do, like they're just not even on that at all. So yeah, having those people who are like, maybe they're 5 to 10K a month right now, and they know like they're planning to scale their business in 2024. That could even be part of your messaging. Are you planning to scale your business in 2024? Do you understand how to manage your money once you get there? Right? Like something like that. So a lot of people are probably like, no,
Yeah.
So
I'm just targeted to whoever needed because now.
And you'll still get people that maybe aren't at that price point, because I have some things where it's like, I want you to be at a certain price point because that's who's going to get the result. But I'll have people who are like not there yet, but they still, could be a candidate or they might want to join the program anyway. But yeah, I think that's a better target market for sure.
Yeah, I know you can attract anybody even though you message to different people. Because I remember I joined a program she was starting to moms. I wasn't a mom yet. I wanted to be a mom, but I wasn't there yet. But I joined. I like her, trust her, and I just got her.
Exactly. Yeah. So you will get people. So, it's not like you're going to be leaving people behind or anything like that because you'll have this other content that they can, download free stuff from you.
Yeah. And I just got I'm sorry, just one more thing because somebody just sent me a message yesterday I just met her in a group, and she's like sent me Facebook, and she just texts me about that she needs help with her personal finances. But she's like, I don't have a business yet, so I'm like, I can I can sell anything about like my signature program, but I'm gonna have a chat with her and see, like, doing maybe market research and see how I can help her. But I know she wants to have her own business, but she's not there yet.
She doesn't have it yet. Well, we can still help her.
Yeah.
I finally got my money shit together.
Yeah.
She says, this is me. Bookkeeping is a snooze fest. My biz finances, personal finances were all mixed together. Yep. When I decided I was really going to go for it, my financial game, I knew I couldn't live like this anymore. Yeah. And that's the piece. You get to that point. And so those people are ready to invest in a solution. And that's for all of you guys, right? Like we have to get them at that point where they are ready to invest in a solution. Right. So whatever you have going on, but yeah, that's why the who is so important. Even Olga, talking about your people, like beauty professionals as a whole, or do you feel like your people are more beauty professionals who are also into personal development? Right. Because they're going to understand the mindset pieces. They're going to understand, all of those types of things. So the who is very important. And I think a lot of people just get so like, they don't want to niche down because they think it's going to cap the money. But it actually will open you up to more money because you're going to get those people who specifically come to you because you have that solution that they need versus like, oh, I can go to anybody. Right. Yeah.
Cool. That's true. Well, this was great. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Think now. A lot to think about changing my messaging now because I started into the wrong people, I guess. But I'm still creating content now, free content. That's something I need to put more out there.
Yeah.
Not just by emails.
Yeah. Emails. I love emails, but you got to do it all. I was just having this conversation in my last group. It's like, whatever you think that you're doing, you're probably not doing enough. You probably need to do a whole lot more, in terms of making the offers, making the ask, being visible, putting content out there. You probably need to do a hell of a lot more than you're doing, just because it's so busy and the newsfeed is full and there's so many people selling so many things. You have to break through that noise.
Yeah, I'm doing more like stories on Instagram, but I need to go back to like Facebook, but I'm trying to pick up a place because for my bookkeeping and tax services, I'm more in LinkedIn, and I have I also have a Facebook business page, and I have Instagram just for that. It's small, but I don't have a lot of followers there. But then for my financial coaching, I have more followers, and I'm doing more on Instagram and Facebook, but haven't done much for the last over a year. But so I feel like, should I pick, like, where should I go?
I always say pick whatever one you're going to be on anyway. Like if you're going to be on LinkedIn anyway, I think LinkedIn is a great spot for your financial coaching as well. If you're already going to be on Instagram because you like Instagram, be on Instagram. Because if you choose a platform that you're like have to force yourself to be on, you're not going to create the consistency. You're not going to be able to create the consistency because you're going to be like, oh, I have to do this thing versus like, oh, I'm just going to be on social media anyway. Just going to be on Instagram anyway. I might as well leverage that.
Yeah. I need to say, because I feel like I like Instagram better than Facebook. But then if I'm on Facebook groups, I feel like I need to be on Facebook too, because I'm on Facebook groups.
I feel like it's
see people check my profiles. No, I'm not there. So I need
everything works. So wherever you're putting your time, energy, and effort, that's what's gonna work.
Yeah, because I hear so many people say like focus on one platform, don't go everywhere. And I've been doing like everywhere.
Well, I would say more than one, because then if you lose your page like I did, then you're not screwed. Let's say if you only have one page and you lose your page, then you're screwed. So I would say two main active ones. And you can report the other ones.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. All right. So I feel like we got somewhere this week. For those of you watching the replay, clarity on everything, post everything in the group. I'll make sure that you get the checklist of everything that should be complete as of right now. And then we dive into the marketing, sales, and all of that stuff next week for the next 2 weeks. So that's where the fun stuff comes in. All right, ladies. Well, thank you for showing up and being with me live today. And I will see you guys next week. And also in the group, tag me because I don't get it for some reason. If you don't tag me, I don't just get a notification that someone posted, but I'll get a notification that you tagged me. So you are so welcome, Olga. All righty, ladies. You can't tag me? Maybe we're not friends? Are we friends? Okay, so you'll have to add me as a friend. Okay, cool. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Bye.